Yes, hello, I'm here.
Okay.
Pim.
Yeah, you have 15 minutes to present your work
Yep.
and followed by 5 minutes to questions from the audience.
Yeah, I
You
will.
can you can
Sure.
begin.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Hi everybody. I'm Pim. I'm from the Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam. And we published a paper for BICA for a master's course. And the paper is called A Second Order Adaptive Network Model for connecting social media platforms and users through bonding by faked homophily. This is done by me, by Julia, and by Professor Jan Treur. Um, so it doesn't move. Yeah. So imagine it's a cold, dark winter. I'm not sure how that is in Guadalajara, but here in the Netherlands we have cold, dark winters. You turn on your smartphone and you log into Netflix. And before you know it, they pull you right in and you waste your entire day watching series or movies. So we focused on this phenomena of media and social media platforms. So for instance, Netflix or YouTube, who are doing a very good job of their content delivery matching the user because you want to give people what they want for better retention. We hypothesize that this is done by faking homophily. Homophily is the process of people bonding through similarity. So for instance, we can find this in everyday life. We can see it in friendships, colleague bonds, marriage, etc. Because birds of the same feather flock together. So similarity breeds some form of connection. This feature one could also use and fake it. So for instance, if you like someone, but they have, for instance, they have a certain hobby that you don't like, you can fake that you like it to still create this homophily and still create this connection. Um, for this paper, our main source was Mental Models and Their Dynamics, Adaptation and Control, which is a book by Jan Treur, our professor, and Laila van Mens. And we used the chapter Bonding based on faking. So we think that platforms, so social media platforms, also fake this homophily. A streaming platform do not offer a visible social connection. However, the user still does make a connection because Netflix, for example, uses phrases such as "because you watched, you might like." We consider this connection to be developed through bonding by homophily. And why does a platform want to do it? Of course, for maximum retention, pushing ads so that the platform can make more money. Another important thing is that the platform might have own IDs in terms of production. So users might have a changing interest over time. And it could be interesting to move a specific user towards the content that you are most likely to produce. We modeled this based on two basic assumptions. The one of social contagion, the one of binding through homophily, and the platform presenting a fake state to the user. Because I, as a user, never know the true intentions of Netflix. They only show me what they think is relevant to me. So we created a model for this, where we have a base layer. Can you see my mouse pointer? Or can I maybe check, make it a laser pointer? Is this visible? Okay, perfect. Um, okay, so the faking by homophily principle led us to our model. We modeled a process where the user, as A, is influenced by a fake state from the platform. So the platform presents certain content and influences the user. the user, of course, influences the platform as well. However, the user never knows the true intention of the platform. Um, so this is one of the important parts. Um, Another goal of us was to simulate a situation where an algorithm of a platform will show the user what it likes and eventually make the user converge to other content. So then we have the second order, which is which has two RW states, which are influenced by representative states of the base network, and this is where the actual homophily happens. So the binding, and then we have another state which normalizes the formula. Then we ran some simulations. So the goal was to make users converge uh, to the platform through the fake state. So if we zoom in on this, the blue one is the user. So the user has a specific interest. And we see that the purple line is the fake state. So the algorithm needs some time to adjust, and then it catches the user and brings it towards the intention of the platform. Um, Meanwhile, we also see that the platform is slowly coming towards the user. We can explain this with a real world example by imagining Netflix would somewhat adjust its own content, for example, by making new movies and shows, so that user is more willing to stay on the platform. Um, so then we did another simulation um, where we used different initial values, which had the idea of does a user still converge when the interests of the user are far different from the platform. So we used higher separation between the user and the platform, and if we remove all the other lines, we have the same ID. So we really see the algorithm or the fake state coming up and recommending the right amount or the right type of content. We can see homophily happening because they're really close to each other, and then over time it moves towards uh, the platform's core content. And we also see again the slow influence of the platform itself changing. Um, then we had another idea. What happens if we make the actual platform slower to respond? So the algorithm is still fast, but the adjusting of the platform, so for instance, making or producing new content is more difficult. So then we see the same principle. So the algorithm catching with the user, here it takes a little bit longer time, and then it moves it towards the value of the platform, and the platform also slowly starts to move. Yeah, so if we discuss this phenomena, um, you can use faking to connect to a user. So after you actually got this user with the right amount of content and the right type of content, you can actually move the user state through bonding by homophily. And platforms can slowly react to the user's need. So if the person deviated too much from the original type of content, you could create new content. Um, and it's applicable in different types of contexts. So for instance, you could use this model for a new platform searching what type of content it would create, or for existing platforms looking to adjust their content delivery. It is also important to mention that we threw a couple of scenarios at the model, and it always seemed to work in the sense that the fake state of the platform, so the algorithm, quickly matches the user and then is able to move the user. It's still very interesting to see if we can find a way to make the user lose the interest. So for instance, is there some sort of scenario where the user and the algorithm are so far apart that the user loses interest. So this could, for instance, be simulated by a slow learning algorithm. Yeah, and then yeah, it is of course a simplified version of reality. Also because this was part of a master's course and not like a PhD track or anything. So we need some sort of empirical data to verify the model, to mimic the algorithm. There is a lot of research on these types of algorithms. Yeah, and the model created for this paper is necessarily a simplified version of reality and no real empirical data, so it's more a proof of concept. Yeah, it should be noticed that only the connection between one user and an oversimplified algorithm like mechanism was investigated. So yeah, it could be very interesting to see how this works with multiple types of users. But nonetheless, it's quite interesting. So yeah, that was my presentation. Are there any questions?
Thanks. Someone of the audience have a question?